Welcome. Good afternoon. Happy Wednesday. This is the Homebuyer Seminar. I'm Bill Gross. We do this every Wednesday at 5 p.m., sometimes 4, sometimes in the middle, but today at 5 p.m. And I do it here with my friend and colleague,
Patricia Castillo.
Patricia Castillo, and our good friend,
Shannon the lender, aka the lender.
Shannon Dullender. Uh, and we're talking, not Shannon the Stallion, Shannon the Lender, right?
Yes,
Okay, just to get my pop culture references correct here.
I love it.
So, okay, cool. So, and we sell houses here in Southern California. We also do business with friends across the country. Want to help you buy your first home or buy your next home, and we talk about how to do that. Get prepared. If you're watching this on the recording, you can jump in on the live stream when we do it live and ask questions, and I'll reply to them. We have people on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Patricia, what's happening in the market?
Yeah, it's a nutty market, I can say. I mean, some pockets of LA are seeing multiple offers. There's other parts of LA that are, seeing a little bit of a softening. So it's just kind of depends on the area right now and the demand for that specific area. I mean, I've seen some properties sell at over asking, and other properties are sitting on the market for maybe 2 months, 45 days. A couple of price reductions, not many, but a couple here and there. But in my market, where I live in Downey, home prices are up 28% compared to a year ago.
Wow.
And yeah, and the median days on market here is 43 days, and the average price here is 975,000. So in this area, the demand is still strong. Sellers are listing, and we're seeing more inventory in this area. So that's great. Buyers have more choices, more opportunities.
Well, first off, Downey is the Beverly Hills of 562. Just for those of you who don't know that,
Yeah.
I happen to know that. But I think one of the things you bring out, which is true, is that real estate is very local, right? It varies based on where you are.
Very hyper local. Yeah.
So it's either completely dry or crazy, pretty much. Is that what you're saying?
I wouldn't say that.
Depending on the
Yeah.
area, I guess.
I would say it is. It varies. I think one of the things is the right answer is it's a number, right? And you want to reduce things to a number. I have a podcast. I kind of make fun of the local news all the time because they do such a lousy job, I think, of explaining what's happening in the marketplace. They always make it sound so negative and like everything should be so depressing. They talk about how people lost out on properties when they didn't really lose their properties. They just didn't buy one, and they look back and regret that 2 years later. There was a
Yeah.
story in I forget which of the lousy online services about how buyers were getting discouraged and quitting. It was a word they were using, but the truth was, and they quoted some buyers. Oh, we've been looking, and we were pre-approved, but we haven't found anything. But when you look at where they were in Westchester County, Pennsylvania. The house that they were good about 2 years ago at 684 today's selling for $900,000. So if they bought a house 2 years ago for a house they didn't like, but sold it 2 years later, they would have made over $100,000 profit that they could have used to buy the house they want. So you can either be right and be miserable, or you can get to work. And this is a market for those of us who work hard. Real estate usually has been that. And so, again, this isn't a place to come, complain about your woes. This is cut your expenses, save your money, work hard, buy a property, whether that's your dream house or not, and then sell that profit and buy the next one and move forward. So, Shannon, how many buyers come to you, properly preparing to buy a house, versus how many call you back and say, I know you said get your paperwork together. We didn't 6 months ago, and now we're under contract. Help us. How often is that? What percentage of your business that way?
Honestly, that's like half. Like
It's amazing.
yeah, it's a lot more than I would have hoped for. But yeah, at least half that. Yeah, that they do that. So unfortunately,
And isn't sure they always would have done better if they planned ahead?
Always, every single time.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
Not
every
to
time.
mention they might have got their offer accepted had they been ready to go and had you calling the listing agent to get the offer accepted.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's 100% right. Or they'll go to someone else that will accept the half-ass work. You know what I mean? And then come back to me and say, "Hey, we're in escrow. It's a mess. Could you save us?" You
Yeah.
know, and it's like I could have saved you the headache if you would have just gave me everything initially. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's crazy.
So okay. So what do we do to get buyers to start the process the right way?
Well, I mean, honestly, you got everyone, most of the time, if you're a first time home buyer, you're pretty much in the same boat with everyone else. You haven't made that mistake yet. And sometimes you got to some people have to go through that, but it's educating yourself, watching shows like this, and knowing that if the more homework you do up front, the better it's going to be for you later on. And transitioning into the Fed meeting that happened, they're still predicting, they're still saying that, hey, a rate cut is on the table for September. They're holding it off right now. A rate cut they said it's still quote unquote on the table if inflation keeps, with the encouraging numbers that they keep having. They said that it's still in the works. So I would tell you that as the competition heats up, and I'm pretty sure coming from two great listing agents, the people that have their ducks in a row up front and that can. The other thing too is a lot of people don't understand is when you have all your ducks in a row in terms of your paperwork, you can move faster. Those loan contingencies, those inspection contingencies, those closing contingencies can come down. If you have all your ducks in a row up front, if you have your DU, if you already have all your full paperwork, all docs ready to go, I can shorten that time frame. And the same person that's offering the same, maybe the same number as you, and the difference is hey, we can close faster because we got these people qualified. And I actually got someone, that condo that I recently got last month, it was, hey, you know what, they were like $5,000 off, but I said, look, I can bang this out in 15 days because these people, they respond to me quickly, they give me things quickly. Like, I can do this because I know that my buyers, they're tech savvy and they can move quickly, they email me things right away. And that's what won it, was me on the phone telling them, hey, look, we'll cut that contingency down from 30 days, I'll go 15. And I was so confident in these buyers because they were on it. They gave me everything. They emailed, uploaded to our portal extremely fast. So moving fast, speed is the name of the game. And it's going to be the name of the game, I believe. Once these rates go down and more buyers are going to flood the market, especially if you're financing, because obviously financing, cash is always king. If you're putting less than 50% down, you got to have other chips, on the table besides the purchase price and the, loan to value. And that could be your credit score. That could be, hey, we're not putting 50% down, but we can close very quickly, have a DU. And I can tell you this, guys, if you do all your due diligence up front, it gives me so much confidence to call these agents and let them know. Because if I have a client that is extremely slow to give me things, that confidence is not going to be there for me. And it's my name on the line, so that's going to play a part in how we're representing you, because at the same time, we can't burn our bridges and lie to people. I will show you in the best light as possible. I definitely will. I can't lie, because, reputation's everything. So, if you get all your ducks in a row up front. Also too, here's another thing. If you give your lender everything up front, your numbers, your estimates are going to be way more accurate. A lot of times people are so surprised when they get into escrow or when they're closing, like, oh my God, my numbers changed a little bit. But it's like, well, you didn't give me everything up front. And now we got to adjust certain things. So, it's going to save you money. It's going to save you headache. It's going to speed up the process. Because, as you know, Patricia, buying a house is going to be extremely stressful, especially when you're in escrow.
Yeah, there's so many steps, but from what I'm hearing you say, everything starts with the organization. So having all of your documents readily available and organized, because the most important thing are the numbers, right? The lender wants to see what type of income you have, what type of liabilities you have, meaning debts, car loans, credit cards. Maybe you co-signed for another family member for a car. Or maybe you co-signed on a rental application. There's so many different forms of co-signing. And so if your credit is being extended out with other people, that's going to show as a liability on your credit report. So
Yeah.
those are things that we can discuss and talk about. And if you are a co-signer, let's say for another person that you're not actually making the payments, you're just loaning your credit to them for purposes of the purchase of the vehicle, then there's ways to show that you're not actually carrying on the debt and making the payments. You're just
Yeah,
loaning.
and to follow up on that, not to cut you off,
Right.
I just wanted to make a big distinction. If you are going to co-sign for someone's car, please do not make the payments under your bank account and have them transfer it. That's going to be extremely hard to dismiss. Now, if Patricia is right, if you just co-sign for them and they're making the payments out of their bank account, as long as I get 12 months bank statement showing that this person is paying for it directly from their bank account, I can wipe that clean from you guys. I can
Right.
wipe that clean. But the problem is when, and I see this a lot, unfortunately, is when you co-sign for someone and you have the payments come out of your bank account. I know that they're zelling you every month, but it just makes things super hard. And a lot of banks, especially paper banks with
Mhm.
that give you the good interest rates, they won't take it. They'll say, look, it's still coming out of their account every month. So
Right.
it's technically theirs. And so, yes, if you guys are planning on co-signing for someone, please make sure, again, think twice about it, especially if a car. But if you are going to do it, make sure they pay it from their bank account and it doesn't go through yours, because at that point, it's much easier for us to fight back and say, look, they're not making the payment, someone else is. And that goes for any line of credit. If you're getting an installment loan, whatever the loan is,
Right.
make sure. Another thing I got is child support. I know that that sometimes comes up, but I had a case where the guy said, "Look, I'm already paid up. I'm paid up. It's done." I and I looked at the pay stub, and there's only like $11 coming out of his account. I took his word for it, and then I needed a letter from the child support people, and they said, "Well, he has arrears." And I'm like, I thought this was paid off. And he says, well, I just owed a few more months. It's like 13,000. And that's now arrears is technically a collection. Like
Right.
he's
Right.
like, oh, well, I only have to pay it for a few months. It's not forever. I'm like, it's you gotta pay. So now he's got, and I just actually got the letter. He
Mhm.
had to pay it all up front and he was gonna have that in reserves. But again, be honest with me. Tell me up front. Don't brush it. He was brushing it under the rug. Oh no, it's no big deal. I'm already paid up. Don't worry about it. You know what I mean? So the more be honest with me, I'm on your team. Don't A lot of people tend to not want to tell me things, and I get it. Sometimes it's embarrassing. Sometimes they don't want to tell. That's
Yeah.
fine. But the more you tell me, the more I can help, because one way or another, it's gonna come up. It's
Well,
gonna.
everything comes out into the light. So, and that's part of being organized and being
Mhm.
transparent, because once you are making offers, looking at property, and actually in escrow, that's part of the due diligence process of the seller as well. They have to be transparent in all material facts of the property. So if you think about yourself as a buyer getting pre-qualified for a loan, you have to be transparent with the lender and disclose things that may come up. Just like when you're applying for a job and it says, there's a question on the application, have you ever been prosecuted or anything like that for a crime or convicted of a crime? So it's the same thing,
Mhm.
right? There, I think some people are just talking about credit and maybe bankruptcy or foreclosures. Sometimes those topics are a little sensitive for some people and they may feel a little shy about talking about that, but that's exactly what we need to know. Those are the important things that we need to know so we can help guide, in that area. I had a
Mm.
recent buyer that was a past client of mine, a seller, and she went through a divorce, and during that time I sold her property in Long Beach. And after that, she wanted to purchase a new place for herself. So, thinking she's got, well over 30% down payment, and she has the funds readily available in her account because we're using the proceeds from her sale for the purchase. So we have her credit checked and come to see that because of the divorce, there were a lot of late payments on multiple credit cards. Now, a lot of those credit cards were paid off through the proceedings of the divorce and the sale of the property, but that still hurts your credit. It stays on your credit report, and the late payments stacked up don't help. I mean, eventually the payments were made, but the fact is that the late payments affected her credit. And she has a good job. She has got, she works for the county. She has a great job, very good income, and a substantial down payment. But even with all of those positive, attributes going towards her purchase, she still needs to let her credit heal just because of the fact that there were so many late payments during that time. It was all like within a couple of months of the last final phase of the divorce. So those are things that people go through in everyday life. There's sometimes you experience short term of unemployment. Maybe you had reduced hours and reduced income. So those are definitely topics that we can help you with and cover and find a blueprint for that.
Yeah. And that's another thing too, job gaps. The bank always wants to see 2-year history on conventional loans, right? There's different things there's also another, you can go another way for 1 year, but obviously majority of them is 2-year, but obviously definitely let us know about your job gaps. Cause I have people that, I was sick, I only going out for a few weeks. Turns out when I get the VOEs, it was 2 months, right? And that does make effects. So definitely make sure that you don't have a lot of gaps of employment. If you do, you have good reason, if you had a surgery, things like that, hey, and you can have doctor's notes and say that, look, this is why I was, gap. Banks always want to see consistency. So definitely take a look at that. One thing I do want to do, I know that Bill always pulls up rates, but with the Feds giving their news, rates still actually look good. I know that the announcement was they're not making any rate cuts as of right now, but just as you guys have a barometer as of today's recording, I think, and this is us, obviously you can go wherever you want, but I know I quoted someone today, FHA loan, 720 FICO. It was paperwork. It was like 5.25 that I get for FHA. So let's see where we're at too.
So what's the rate right now for FHA? Because I know rates are under 7% right today.
Oh yeah. You can get at par 5.25. And that was based on a 720 FICO, putting the 3.5% down. You can get about 5.25 for FHA. Conventional is obviously different. So
yeah.
So rates are definitely creeping down. That's for sure.
Going in the right direction.
Yes. And as these things go down.
Yeah, be careful about that. Right or wrong, it is what it is. But they're the lowest they've been since in the last year for sure. Maybe 18, 20 months. So definitely for buyers who are rate sensitive, this is really good news. Yeah,
exactly. This is your time now. And again, don't wait until the rate cuts happen, because once that news spreads, it's going to spread like wildfire. Everyone's thirsty for that first rate cut. So I have a feeling even if it's 0.25%, it's gonna get crazy. So we'll see. What do you guys? And this is my last question, I guess. What do you guys tell people that say I'm gonna wait after the elections to buy? What do you tell those buyers that say that?
Yeah, go ahead, Bill.
Well, I normally work with sellers, not buyers.
Okay.
I'd like to tell a little story on the subject.
Please.
So I used to be a lender and a realtor. And before 2008, or around 2008, I became a full-time realtor, like in March. So November was the election of Barack Obama the first time. So if you remember the excitement, it was really like a pop culture moment. In the summertime, and here I'm trying to get houses listed, and people say to me, well, I'm going to wait and see, if Barack Obama's nominated. So I made a list of those people. I called them back because he's nominated. Well, I want to see if he wins the election. So I made a list to call them in November. Well, I want to see wait till after he's inaugurated. And I called them all back after that. Well, I want to wait. So what I learned is, you just ask a question, what will be different for you then than right now? 90% of the time, there's nothing. It's not that important to them. 10%, think by waiting they'll be better off. And if you show them, we're not the only ones. Like, you have a chance to cut the line by starting now. All the houses that you're going to rush to see in January, you can go see them now while the other guys are waiting. And I think I shared a story with you. It was an article in one of the lousy sources where they quoted, they said buyers are discouraged from leaving the market. After 2 years, Mary and Joe, stopped buying. And the truth is, had they bought anything, they would have made so much money, they could have bought whatever they wanted now more easily. So I think the moral of the story is, most people that say they're waiting, they're just not really ready. And that's a polite way to say I'm not ready. But if you really have a dream to buy a house or to buy a bigger house, waiting doesn't work on your side in an inflationary environment. It works against you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great point.
Yeah, and that goes back to what I just, piggybacking on what I was mentioning earlier at the beginning of the call, that from a year ago, we're talking just 12 months, from a year ago, prices in Downey are up almost 30%. So, for people that waited, they're paying 28.5% more for the same
Is that
house.
better than the S&P 500? Let me see.
So buy in Downey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, the longer you wait, you're gonna discover that prices are changing. They're going up, and there's more competition. Right? There's always new buyers coming into the market. People that are maybe buying their first home, that are expanding. Maybe they just got married, starting a family. So there's a multitude of reasons why people buy a home. And that's something that is really strong right now, is the buyer demand. I mean, I'm seeing that at the open houses. It's very, very strong.
Very strong.
I think you're right.
So, and then with the rates coming down, I mean, you just mentioned that for FHA, you can get just over 5%. That's an amazing rate to get into a home today.
Yeah.
30-year fixed. And if the rates happen to dip below that, you can always refinance, but at least you've secured your home for now.
Exactly. I mean, we could be in the 4s by next year. So it's possible for sure. It's possible.
Yeah.
So what are your plans this weekend, Patricia? I know you have new listings all over the place.
I just took another one today. It's in Lancaster. It's
Oh, wow.
a trust sale. I opened escrow today in a duplex in Lawndale. So that one's, I have a few escrows going right now. So I'm really excited about that. And
Did you get a
then
new listing on Monday in
Monday?
Southgate?
That one, no, that one's not listed yet. I'm still talking to the seller on that one. But yes, I opened escrow in Southgate. That's for a different property.
Gotta keep them straight. Sorry about that.
And
You're confusing me with all these different
I will
listings and
say,
escrows.
even the rental market is so competitive right now.
Really?
I came across 2 clients that one of them is a VIP corporate client that was directed to me from a relocation company, and currently he lives in Europe, and so he's relocating to the United States, and he works for a major designer label. But the applicants that were applying for that property, this is to rent, okay, in San Marino near Pasadena. I mean, so many applications. And then I came across another client that wanted to also rent a home right now. And, these rental values are somewhere around 7,000-8,000 per month. And so there's so many applications. They just called me today from the listing agent's office asking for more information, bank statements on top of the W-2, on top of a 1099. I mean, they're just really combing through the applications, making sure that they are well qualified to rent these homes. These are more nicer, luxurious homes, but even the rental market is just so competitive right now.
It's funny on my property management, we had a listing for a lease, and I'm not the agent for it because it's the principal, but they had made their offer and expected an answer, and we kept dragging out, and I'm horrified because I feel like when you have a deal, you want to get signed contract, lock it
Yeah.
up, and the principal's all, well, they're not going to go anywhere. It's a competitive market, so you're right. I think still it is a seller's market in most areas.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, before I completely lose my voice, I think we're going to wrap up here. Thanks for suffering along with me. Patricia, if someone get hold of you, what's the best way to
Yes.
get in touch?
My cell number is the best way, 323-365-9909.
Try to catch you in between listings and escrows. It's a challenge, but she'll call you back. If you text
Yeah.
or call, she always calls back.
Yep. I have my
She's not
phone
too busy
number.
for the little people.
I have my
And
phone
Shannon, the lender, what's the best way to reach you?
My number, area code 661-317-8484. And my Instagram is FUND with Shannon. And my OnlyFans is fun with Shannon. So, I'm just kidding. I have no idea
That's
what's
my
on
joke.
there.
You took my joke. Fun with Shannon is his Instagram, and his OnlyFans is fun with Shannon. So I'm Bill Gross at Bill Gross Probate, social media, BillGrossProbate.com. As always, make it a great week. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you soon.